He had everything money could buy: penthouse views, luxury cars, a fortune most people only dream of. But on the day he almost shattered his office window in rage, a homeless orange seller would teach him the one lesson his millions could never purchase. This is the story of how the poorest voice in Lagos became the richest teacher a millionaire ever had. What she told him changed everything, and what he discovered will change the way you see wealth forever. The glass paperweight was halfway to the window when Ayo stopped himself. He stood there in his penthouse office on the 32nd floor of Landmark Towers, breathing hard, his hand still raised, his reflection staring back at him from the floor-to-ceiling windows. Outside, Lagos sprawled beneath him like a kingdom he had conquered. The traffic on Ozumba-Mbadiwe Road looked like toy cars. The Atlantic Ocean glittered in the distance. Everything he had built, everything he owned, everything that should have made him happy stretched out before him like a promise that had somehow been broken. Ayo set the paperweight down carefully on his mahogany desk. His hand was shaking. He was 42 years old. He owned 3 hotels, 2 shopping plazas, and more land than he could remember. His net worth had 7 zeros before the decimal point. Forbes had called him one of Nigeria's most successful entrepreneurs. Yet here he was, alone in his glass tower, wondering why success tasted like sand in his mouth. His phone rang. Another investor, another deal, another million to add to the pile. Ayo turned off his phone. Then he walked out of his office, past his confused secretary, into the elevator, through the marble lobby, and out into the Lagos afternoon where the heat hit him like a physical thing. He needed to breathe. He needed to think. He needed to remember what it felt like to want something other than more. So Ayo did something he hadn't done in 15 years. He started walking. He walked for hours, letting the city carry him wherever it wanted. He walked through Victoria Island, where expatriates sipped wine in air-conditioned restaurants. He walked through Ikoyi, where old money lived behind high walls and security gates. He walked until the buildings grew smaller and the streets grew louder and the smell of roasting corn and frying akara filled the air. By the time the sun began to set, Ayo found himself somewhere he didn't recognize. A bus stop near a market. Women were packing up their wares. Children chased each other between stalls. A man was roasting plantains on a makeshift grill made from an old oil drum. Ayo sat down on a concrete bench, his expensive suit drawing curious stares. He loosened his tie and closed his eyes, listening to the sounds of life happening around him. Real life, messy life. Life that didn't fit into quarterly reports or board presentations. "Excuse me, sir." He opened his eyes. A young woman stood before him, maybe 20 years old, wearing a simple Ankara dress that had been washed so many times the colors had faded. She carried a woven basket on her head filled with oranges. Her feet were dusty from the road. "Yes?" Ayo said, expecting her to ask for money. "You look like someone who is searching," she said. Ayo blinked. "Searching for what?" "That is what I am asking you." She lowered the basket from her head and set it on the ground. Then, without asking permission, she sat beside him on the bench. "My name is Amina. What is yours?" "Ayo." He didn't give his last name. For once, he wanted to be just Ayo, not Chief. Ayo Okonkwo, CEO and founder of Okonkwo Enterprises. "So, Ayo," Amina said, peeling an orange with practiced ease. "What are you searching for?" "I don't know," he admitted. The honesty surprised him. "Then how will you know when you find it?" Ayo laughed, but the sound was bitter. "That's the problem, isn't it? I thought I knew what I was looking for. Money, success, respect, I got all of that. But now..." He trailed off, unsure how to explain the emptiness. Amina offered him half of her orange. Ayo stared at it. When was the last time someone had simply shared food with him expecting nothing in return? "Thank you," he said, taking it. They ate in silence for a moment, the sweet juice running down their fingers. A Danfo bus roared past, blaring music from blown-out speakers. A woman shouted prices for tomatoes. Life continued its chaotic dance. "Where are you from?" Ayo asked. "A village near Ibadan," Amina said. "Very small. You wouldn't know it." "What are you doing in Lagos?" "Surviving, same as everyone else." She smiled, but there was no bitterness in it. "I sell oranges. I sleep in a room I share with 5 other girls. I send money home to my mother when I can. It is not much of a life by some standards, but it is mine." "And that's enough for you?" Ayo couldn't keep the skepticism from his voice. Amina looked at him with eyes that seemed older than her years. "Enough is a strange word, isn't it? My grandmother used to say that enough is not a destination. It is a way of seeing. 2 people can have the same amount of food, but one sees poverty while the other sees blessing. The difference is not in the food, it is in the eyes." "That sounds nice," Ayo said, "but it's not that simple." "No," Amina agreed. "It is not simple at all. In fact, it might be the hardest thing in the world. To look at what you have and see it clearly, not through the eyes of want or fear or comparison, but through the eyes of truth." Ayo felt something stir in his chest. Curiosity, maybe, or recognition. "And what do you see when you look at me?" Amina studied him for a long moment. "I see a man wearing an expensive suit who forgot to wear his piece. I see someone who built a tower so high he can no longer see the ground. I see a person who is tired of carrying something heavy but doesn't know how to put it down." The words hit Ayo like a punch. "You don't know anything about me." "No," Amina said gently, "but I know that look in your eyes. My father had the same look before he died. He spent his whole life chasing something he called success. When it finally came, when he had enough money to build a big house and buy a car, he realized he had forgotten how to enjoy any of it. He had trained himself so well to want more that he lost the ability to appreciate what was right in front of him. He died 6 months after finishing his big house, sitting in his fancy chair, surrounded by things but completely alone." "I'm sorry," Ayo said. "I am too. But his story taught me something important. It taught me that wanting and having are 2 different things. And that satisfaction is not about getting everything you want. It is about wanting what you already have." Ayo shook his head. "That's just something poor people tell themselves to feel better about being poor." Amina's eyes flashed, but her voice remained calm. "Is that what you think? That I am lying to myself? That I am pretending to be content while secretly hating my life? I didn't mean—" "Let me tell you something, Mr. Ayo." Amina stood up, brushing orange peels from her lap. "I wake up every morning before the sun rises. I walk 2 kilometers to the market to buy oranges from the wholesaler. I carry them on my head all day, calling out prices until my voice is hoarse, my feet hurt, my back aches. I barely make enough money to survive. But you know what? When I lie down at night, I sleep peacefully. Can you say the same?" Ayo opened his mouth, then closed it. The truth was, he couldn't remember the last time he had slept through the night without medication. "I didn't think so," Amina said, but there was no judgment in her voice, only sadness. "You look at me and see someone to pity. But maybe, Mr. Ayo, I should be the one pitying you." She picked up her basket of oranges and balanced it on her head. Then she turned to leave. "Wait," Ayo called out. "Please." Amina paused, looking back at him. "You're right," Ayo said, the words coming slowly. "I don't sleep well. I don't sleep well at all, and I don't know why. I have everything I ever wanted, but it feels like nothing. Like I'm empty, He struggled to find the words. Like I'm missing something essential, but I don't know what it is. Amina set her basket down again. She walked back to the bench and sat beside him, and this time when she looked at him, her expression was softer. "Can I tell you a story?" she asked. "Yes," Ayo said, please." "In my village," Amina began, "there was a man named Babatunde. Everyone knew him, not because he was rich or powerful, but because he was the happiest person anyone had ever met. He woke up singing. He greeted everyone with joy. He helped his neighbors without being asked. People used to wonder what his secret was. One day, a businessman from the city came to the village. This businessman was very wealthy but very unhappy. He had heard about Babatunde and decided to visit him. He wanted to know the secret to happiness so he could buy it. "Babatunde," the businessman said, "I will give you 1 million naira if you tell me your secret. How can you be so happy when you have so little?" Babatunde laughed. "My friend," he said, "I will tell you my secret for free, but I warn you it is not what you expect." The businessman leaned forward eagerly. "Every morning," Babatunde said, "I wake up and I say thank you. Thank you for my eyes that can see. Thank you for my legs that can walk. Thank you for my hands that can work. Thank you for the air in my lungs and the beat of my heart. Thank you for another day of life." The businessman frowned. "That's it? That's your secret? Gratitude?" "Yes," Babatunde said. "But not just any gratitude. I am grateful for what I have, not resentful for what I lack. Most people spend their whole lives looking at what they don't have. I spend my life appreciating what I do have, and what I have is everything I need." The businessman shook his head. "That's too simple. There must be something more." "There is nothing more," Babatunde said, "but there is also nothing less. Gratitude is the beginning and the end of wisdom. It is the bridge between suffering and peace. It is the difference between a life of wanting and a life of having." The businessman didn't believe him. He left the village still searching for a better answer. He traveled all over Nigeria, all over Africa, all over the world, looking for the secret to happiness. He spent his fortune on teachers and gurus and philosophers. And in the end, 20 years later, he came back to the village. He was older now, poorer, tired from his searching. Babatunde was still there, still happy, still singing. "Did you find your answer?" Babatunde asked. The businessman sat down heavily. "No," he admitted. "I found nothing but emptiness." "Then perhaps," Babatunde said gently, "you are ready to hear what I told you 20 years ago." Amina finished her story and looked at Ayo. "Do you understand?" Ayo was quiet for a long time. "You're saying I need to be grateful." "I am saying you need to stop searching for something outside yourself and start seeing what is already inside you. You have built an empire, Mr. Ayo. But what good is an empire if you are too busy building it to enjoy it? What good is wealth if it doesn't bring you peace? So I should just accept my misery and be grateful for it?" "No," Amina said firmly. "You should understand that your misery is not caused by what you have or don't have. It is caused by how you see what you have. You look at your success and see only what comes next. The next deal, the next million, the next achievement. You never stop to say, 'This is enough, this is good, I am satisfied.' But if I stop pushing, if I stop striving, then what? Everything I've built will collapse." "Will it?" Amina challenged. "Or will it simply exist without consuming you? There is a difference between building something and being enslaved by it. Right now, your wealth owns you. You do not own it." The words struck something deep in Ayo's chest. He thought about his 3 hotels that he rarely visited, his properties that he bought and forgot about, his accounts that grew and grew while his happiness shrank and shrank. "I don't know how to do what you're describing," he admitted. "I don't know how to just be satisfied." "Then let me teach you," Amina said, "if you are willing to learn." Ayo looked at this young woman, this orange seller from a village he'd never heard of, and he made a decision that would change his life. "Teach me," he said. And so began the strangest education of Ayo's life. Over the following weeks, Amina became his guide into a world he had forgotten existed. The world of simple things, present moments, real connection. She made him wake up early to watch the sunrise from the beach at Bar Beach. "Look," she said as the sun painted the sky orange and pink. "You could buy a painting of this for $1,000,000. But here it is, free every morning. When was the last time you watched a sunrise?" Ayo couldn't remember. She took him to her market where she sold oranges. She made him help her call out prices, made him feel the awkwardness of offering his wares to strangers, made him understand what it meant to work for each naira, each sale, each small victory. "This is real wealth," she said, counting the day's earnings. "Not the number in your account, but the knowledge that you earned this with your own hands, your own voice, your own effort. When was the last time you felt that satisfaction?" Ayo couldn't remember that either. She introduced him to her friends in the crowded room where she lived. 5 young women, all struggling, all surviving, all supporting each other with jokes and stories and shared meals of rice and stew. "This is what connection feels like," Amina said as they laughed together over burnt plantains and spilled water. "When was the last time you had friends who knew you, not your money? Who wanted your company, not your investment? Who cared about you, not what you could do for them?" Ayo had no answer. He realized that he had business partners but no friends, associates but no companions, people who smiled at his jokes because he was rich, not because he was funny. She made him sit with Mama Biliki, an old woman who sold fruits in the market. Mama Biliki was 70 years old, missing 3 teeth, and laughed like the world was the funniest thing she had ever seen. "You know what I learned in 70 years?" Mama Biliki asked Ayo, her eyes twinkling. "That worry is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere. You young people always worrying about tomorrow. What about today? Today is here. Today is real. Tomorrow is just a story you tell yourself." "But I have to plan," Ayo protested. "I have responsibilities." "Plan, yes," Mama Biliki said. "But don't forget to live. I have seen rich men and poor men. You know who dies with regrets? Both of them. The poor man regrets that he never had enough. The rich man regrets that he never enjoyed what he had. Don't be either one. Be the man who says, 'Today I am alive, today I am here, today I am grateful.' That man dies happy no matter what his bank account says." Amina took Ayo to her village one weekend. 3 hours by bus, rattling along potholed roads, squeezed between sweating passengers and chickens in cages and bags of rice. Ayo's back hurt. His suit was wrinkled. He was uncomfortable in ways he hadn't been since his youth. And yet, somewhere on that journey, something inside him began to loosen. The village was small, mud houses with thatched roofs, a single road running through the center, a market that consisted of 3 women sitting under a tree with vegetables spread on cloth before them, a church made of concrete blocks, a school with no windows. It was the kind of place Ayo would have dismissed without a second thought. But Amina's mother, Mama Amina, welcomed him like he was royalty. She insisted on cooking for him a simple meal of pounded yam and agusi soup, and the food tasted better than anything Ayo had eaten in his 5-star hotel restaurants. After the meal, they sat outside under the stars. Real stars. More stars than Ayo had ever seen in Lagos, where the city lights drowned them out. "Tell me about your family, Ayo," Mama Amina said. And for the first time in years, Ayo talked. Not about business, not about success, but about his mother who had died when he was 12, his father who had worked himself to death trying to give Ayo a better life, his sister who he hadn't spoken to in 5 years because of some argument he could barely remember. "You carry your father's legacy," Mama Amina said when he finished. "You became the success he wanted for you. But I wonder, is this the life he wanted for you? Success without joy, achievement without peace. He wanted me to never be poor," Ayo said, "to never struggle like he did." "And you're not poor," Mama Amina said gently. "You have more money than you could spend in 3 lifetimes. So why are you still running? Why are you still afraid?" The question hit Ayo like cold water. "I don't know." "I think you do know," Mama Amina said. "You are afraid that if you stop, if you rest, if you let yourself be satisfied, then you will lose everything. You are afraid that contentment is the same as complacency, that gratitude is the same as giving up. But that is not true, my son. You can appreciate what you have and still build more. You can be grateful and still grow. The difference is that now you build from joy, not from fear. Now you grow from abundance, not from scarcity." Ayo felt tears prick his eyes. When was the last time someone had called him my son? When was the last time someone had seen past his success to the scared boy underneath, still running from his father's poverty? "I don't know how to stop being afraid," he whispered. "Then don't stop being afraid," Mama Amina said. "Just stop letting fear be the only thing that drives you. Let gratitude drive you too. Let love drive you, let connection drive you. Fear is not a bad thing, but it should not be the only thing." That night, Ayo slept on a mat in Amina's family home, surrounded by sounds he hadn't heard in decades. Crickets singing, frogs croaking, the wind rustling through palm trees. And for the first time in years, he slept through the night without medication, without anxiety, without the weight of tomorrow crushing him. When Ayo returned to Lagos, something had shifted. His penthouse felt different, too quiet, too clean, too empty. He stood at his window, looking out at the city he had conquered, and he felt nothing. No pride, no satisfaction. Just emptiness. His phone rang, his secretary. Another emergency, another crisis that only he could solve. But instead of answering, Ayo turned off his phone. He left his penthouse. He went down to the street and he started walking, not aimlessly this time, but with purpose. He found Amina at the same bus stop where they had met, selling her oranges, calling out prices in a voice that somehow carried joy despite the heat and the dust and the difficulty. "Ayo," she said, surprised. "What are you doing here?" "I need to talk to you," Ayo said. "I need to tell you something." They sat together on the concrete bench and Ayo spoke words he had never expected to say. "You were right," he said, "about everything. I built an empire, but I forgot to build a life. I accumulated wealth, but I lost my wealth of spirit. I became successful by every measure except the one that actually matters. Happiness, peace, contentment. And now?" Amina asked. "Now I want to change, but I don't know how. I've spent 20 years training myself to want more, to push harder, to never be satisfied. I don't know how to untrain that." Amina smiled. "It is not about untraining. It is about adding something new. You don't have to stop being ambitious. You don't have to stop building. You just have to start appreciating what you build. Start seeing it. Start being present with it." "Will you help me?" Ayo asked. "I already am," Amina said. "But the real work," Ayo. You have to do yourself. I can show you the door, but you have to walk through it. And so, Ayo began the difficult work of changing his relationship with his own success. He started small. Each morning before he checked his emails or his accounts or his news feeds, he spent 5 minutes simply being grateful. Grateful for his health, grateful for another day, grateful for the opportunity to do meaningful work. It felt ridiculous at first, childish, like he was lying to himself. But gradually something began to shift. He started visiting his hotels not to inspect them or find faults, but to appreciate them, to see the families enjoying vacations, to watch the staff taking pride in their work, to understand that these buildings he had created were not just investments, but places where life happened. He reached out to his sister. The conversation was awkward at first, both of them carrying 5 years of silence. But underneath the awkwardness was love, and love is patient. They started talking every week, then every few days. The anger that had seemed so important began to fade, replaced by something better. Connection. Family. He started taking time off, real time off, not working vacations where he checked email from the beach, but actual rest. He would go to Amina's market and help her sell oranges. He would visit Mama, Biliki, and listen to her stories. He would sit with Mama, Amina, in her village and watch the stars. And slowly, day by day, moment by moment, Ayo began to feel something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the absence of problems. He still had challenges. Business was still difficult. Life was still complicated. But now he faced those challenges from a different place. Not from fear and scarcity, but from gratitude and abundance. Not from the desperate need to prove himself, but from the quiet confidence of someone who knows his worth is not measured by his net worth. One evening, 6 months after he had first met, Amina, Ayo, stood in his penthouse looking out at Lagos. The same view, the same city, but everything looked different now. He could see the beauty in it. The chaos and the life and the struggle and the hope all mixed together. He could see the sunset painting the sky, free and magnificent. He could see the people below, each with their own stories, their own dreams, their own journey toward whatever they were seeking. And for the first time in 20 years, Ayo felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. His phone rang. Amina. "How are you?" she asked. "I'm good," Ayo said, and he meant it. "Really? Really, I'm not happy every moment. I still worry sometimes, I still push myself, but now I also stop. I also rest, I also appreciate, and that makes all the difference." "I'm proud of you," Amina said. "Thank you," Ayo said, "for everything, for seeing me when I was invisible to myself, for teaching me that wisdom doesn't come with wealth, that the richest lessons often come from the humblest teachers." "You taught me something too," Amina said. "What's that?" "That even the most successful person can feel lost, that everyone, no matter how rich or powerful, is searching for the same things. Love, connection, peace, purpose. We're all just walking the same road, looking for home." Ayo smiled. "Have you found yours, your home?" "I think so," Amina said. "Home is not a place, Ayo, it is a feeling. It is the feeling you get when you know you are exactly who you are supposed to be, doing exactly what you are supposed to do with exactly the people you are supposed to be with." "Have you found that?" Ayo thought about his morning gratitude practice, his visits to the market, his conversations with his sister, his slow, steady journey toward becoming someone he actually liked. "I'm getting there," he said. "Thanks to you." "No," Amina said. "Thanks to yourself. I only held up a mirror. You're the one who had the courage to look into it and change what you saw." Years later, when people asked Ayo Okonkwo what transformed his life, he would tell them about a young woman selling oranges at a bus stop. He would tell them about the difference between having wealth and having wisdom. He would tell them about the day he learned that success without satisfaction is just another form of poverty. He never stopped being successful. His businesses continued to grow. But now he measured success differently, not just in profit margins and quarterly reports, but in moments of connection, in evenings spent with family, in the satisfaction of work well done, in the peace that comes from knowing that what you have is enough. Amina continued selling oranges, but Ayo made sure she also had the opportunity to go to school. She studied education, and eventually she opened a small school in her village, teaching children not just mathematics and reading, but also the wisdom her grandmother had taught her, the wisdom of gratitude, the wisdom of presence, the wisdom that says true wealth is measured not by what you own, but by who you are. And sometimes when Ayo felt the old anxiety creeping back, when he felt the pull toward more and more and more, he would remember Amina's words. Enough is not a destination, it is a way of seeing. He would stop, he would breathe, he would look at his life with clear eyes, not through the lens of want or fear, but through the lens of truth. And what he saw was enough, more than enough, everything he needed.